This is Hog Farmer Chris from the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. And before you start listening to Red Zone in the Lab, check out our Amazon Smile, a simple way to support the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation every time you shop, and it's no cost to you.
We're back! Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab with Deuce.
Welcome to a brand new season of the Red Zone in the Lab podcast, where nothing is off the table. We will be discussing entrepreneurship, education, Black history, health, movies, family, and of course, sports. So do yourself a favor, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow on all social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, you can always visit us at redzoneinTheLab.com.
Welcome back. This is Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I am Dion Deuce Blackney, and this is the Eagles v Commanders post-game show with my man DT, CeeLo, and Breeze. What's good, fellas?
What's up? Go, let's go.
Yeah, man, it was an ugly outing. It was an ugly outing from start to finish, man. We had 2 points for about going to the fourth quarter. I think it was like 3 minutes left. We still had 2 points on the board, 24-2. Eagles put up 24 points in the first half. They didn't score anything in the second half. I think we shut them out 3 out of 4 quarters. But it's just, when you're looking at this game, man, what's the first initial thoughts you got, CeeLo?
I mean, my initial thought, man, is just, just disappointing. I said it before, losses will happen. It's just how you lose. And that's the part that's troubling. So for me, it was just another tough outing by the offense in the first half. It ended up being most of the game against this team. So, yeah, man, just my initial thought, just disappointing.
Yeah, man, being at the game, it changes. It kind of changed my perspective a little about the team. Last week when we were down 22-0, I still believed that we could come back and win. Like, I didn't think we was out of it. I thought we could fight back and win. But for some reason, this game was just so different. Like, at the half, I was like, man, I don't know this time. But I still had some faith, but I just felt different. So what about you, Breeze? You were there. You kind of felt the energy. You kind of saw everything in its whole, and not just like what's shown on TV, because that can kind of take away half the actual game. What's your initial thoughts?
Man, I felt all of it. CeeLo definitely stole some of my thunder. I agree 1,000% with that. It's professional sports. You're going to lose games at a certain point, but the team, I mean, they got beat up again. Not in the same, and it's not even in the same fashion, which to me it's almost worse. And then as far as the takeover thing, I mean, they took over our stadium. It was disappointing. And I know if I felt that way, I'm sure to an extent the players felt that way too. It was bad on a lot of fronts for me.
Yeah, man, we didn't limit the big plays, man. They got a lot of big plays, and just being there, you can see that our guys beat. Like corners, they were beat. The trenches, we were beat. They was punching us in our mouth. We wouldn't. It's like we wouldn't fight back. We wouldn't punch back. Barely blocking. It's like, it's like the Rocky movies. It's like the first fight in all the Rocky movies. That's how it was looking out there. But from your vantage point, DT, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, from me watching the game, I just felt like we were outplayed, outcoached once again. And you saw it in the defensive line for Philadelphia. Like, they legit took over the game. It was almost like watching a mirror image of 2020 when we played them and Carson Wentz was on that team. We took over the game with our defensive line, and then it was like a slap in the face because they did the same thing. And just for the offense, just could not get going for the second straight week. Like, I think past 2 weeks, we probably put 100 total yards on offense in the first half. And that's discouraging for all the talent we have. Now, it just brings light to, some of the stuff that we have to fix.
Yeah, talking about some of the things we have to fix. What are some? Can you all? And I'm gonna start with Breeze. Can you find any positive things that that you can take from this game that we can use to build on?
Positives. It's a rough one.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna look for the silver lining. We did shut them out in the second half for whatever it's worth. So I'm adjustments were made, whether that was coaching, playing schematically, adjustments were made. I'll be able to see better once I'm able to watch the game back. I feel like the defensive line didn't necessarily get bullied the way they did against Detroit. Like, Detroit ran straight at them and just marched them down the field. I feel like the D-line didn't get attacked in the same way. The defense in its entirety still got, walked on. But the defensive line, to me, based on what I saw from my vantage point, didn't get bullied like they did last week. They kind of stepped up. So that's pretty much it, though. To be honest with you.
What about you, DT?
If I see any positives, I mean, once again, we kind of know as of right now the third down defense is good, but it just gets overshadowed by the big plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for not having Jackson the third out there, St. Juice just looks so much fluid outside. Like, the guy was making plays today, and I think it's just starting to tell us that maybe we should have like an overall evaluation on him at the outside instead of inside. Then the other positive would be, like Bree said, like, the Eagles didn't score in the second half. Like, I don't know, because like the adjustments were made, or they just were like, okay, we're ready to go home. But I at least saw some fight on the defensive side.
CeeLo, how you feel about it? Any improvements or any positives more so?
Yeah, so positives. Like everyone said, they scored 24 points in the first quarter. So they didn't pick up any more points for Q2, 3, and 4. That's a positive.
It's crazy too, man.
That's insane. I'm looking at the play sheet right now. So that was good. I do feel like we started out real high on defense. So we caused, what is it? I think it was 2 straight punts and a field goal. And so, I felt like overall, I know what the big plays and everything like that, but given what the offense was unable to do, I really felt like this wasn't necessarily a defensive issue today. They definitely had some plays ran on, no doubt about that. So that was an issue. Another strong, I kind of felt like, minus that one boneheaded play near our goal line, I thought Gibson kind of looked pretty good running the football. I mean, they were running pretty good. For some reason, we got away from it, but I know he just looked real good today. I thought he saw the field real well for the opportunities he had. So I would say, those are probably the two of the more positive defensively, like kind of starting out and then holding them to the three quarters. And Gibson looked like he kind of looked pretty good as a natural runner.
Man, that's kind of crazy though. Like, they scored all their points in the first quarter. That's kind of wild. The game just seems like more dominant, and that's how I looked against the Vikings too, right? Because they scored 24 in the first half. They didn't score anything in the second half, and it seemed different, man. Like, we have to get some type of identity on offense, and I agree that Gibson, he looked better than he looked last week, but it's the play selection. I just can't pinpoint it, but Turner, he has to find a way Like I always say, he's bad at adjusting, right? Him and Del Rio is bad at adjusting. It takes them too long to adjust, and they don't make the right adjustments. It's like they're sticking to the game plan. Sometimes you have to come out of it. How do you all feel like the game was called today on offense? And we can go with CeeLo.
Yeah, so yeah, I know everyone wants to talk about Turner, and I agree. He probably could have done some things to help out, his offensive line. But I keep going back. They were rushing 4. They weren't blitzing like Detroit blitzed us.
Yeah.
They weren't like they weren't like over, but they literally were beaten up man to man, legitimately like you couldn't beat. They had 4, we had 5. Why can't we block them for 4 or 5 seconds? Like, I don't understand that. So I agree. I do agree that Scott probably didn't call the best game to help these guys out, but I can't, like, what can you do when you clearly have enough men to block the 4 guys they're bringing? So you just getting beat up straight up. Like, that's just straight beat your man across from you type deal. So that to me is where it needs to start. If they can't, like, this is not the 2016, 2017, hell, early part 2018 Carson Wentz. This dude is a statue now. I mean, he can run a little bit in terms of making some, some plays when he has to. That dude, like, he needs protection. I like it. He is so far from the person that we all saw in his rookie year or whatever. So that was 2 things I noticed about this game is offensive line just got straight up beat up one-on-one. And then, Wentz is a statue back there. Like, he has to get rid of the ball and he has to have protection. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day.
And I know at some point we have to dial up and take some shots, right? I know that. We got to take some 5-step drops. We got to dial it up and take some shots. But, Breeze, do you think it's just heart, or do you think it's skill or technique? Because it seems like they just like bull rushing. Like, watch out.
Man, I think it's a little bit of everything. I won't say heart. I won't say that it's heart. I feel like they have the heart, especially run blocking. Excuse me. But like CeeLo said, the offensive line just got beat up. Like, and usually you can kind of pinpoint one player they attacked. Everybody got beat today. From the left side to the right side, from Leonard Cosme, everybody got beat. It was just all around bad game. And I know, Matsko, John Matsko, he's regarded as a very good offensive line coach. So I can't put it on coaching when he has a reputation of being a good coach. I mean, maybe Philly just has some dog. We all know Fletcher Cox is good. We know we have an opinion of what we think Jordan Davis is going to be or is. So, I mean, maybe they were just outmatched, but like CeeLo said, you lining up 4 on 5, you should win that. Like, that, it's literally, you're literally outmatched. You know what I mean? And then as far as Scott Turner, it's to me, I don't see any flow with his play calling. So, like, I mean, some of the design could be better, sure. Like, some of the situational awareness could be better, but like, there's no kind of flow to it. And then he calls like a lot of play action stuff too, with no threat of running the ball. Like, we haven't established a run threat yet through 3 games, really. Like, so there's no kind of flow to it. So I feel like he needs to fix that too. But yeah, it was bad up front today, for sure. I don't know the reason, but it was bad.
How can we improve, DT? And yeah, man, Matsko is one of the best. I mean, look what he did with the O-line last year. What is it this year? Like, it's not like we go down early or we go down bad. I mean, the defense holds up the first few drives for the most part. But, I mean, they came straight out the gate. It was like 3 straight sacks or something like that. Like, how can it be fixed?
So this is my opinion, man. And I know this has been kind of a hot topic around the spaces, but it's simply this, man. Like, you got to run the ball. And whenever you're not really getting like the 4 and like 10, 15-yard carries, but them 3 to 5-yard runs matter a lot because it puts the offense in a situation to set yourself up to get in another bag in the playbook. And we had 5 yards of pop with Gibson. We could have ran the ball a little bit with Williams. Like, I just think the offensive line was struggling so bad pass blocking. I think we had to calm them down too, right? Like, we talk about Wentz was kind of shook. Maybe the offensive line was kind of shook at how they were getting whipped. So I think running the ball would have helped them out. and then got them in rhythm, then when you can use play action, they can be able to hook and drive against the defensive linemen. So I just think play calling when it's like sometimes we gotta switch it up. Like I know Scott Turner, he wants to throw the ball and stuff like that, but to me, Wentz is not a guy that he has to have 50 attempts. I think 35 attempts is pretty good enough in the game plan, but you got to run the ball, establish physicality on the team.
The calendar says that summer is ending soon, but we're still outside. So when it's time to hop in your ride, make sure you book the best mobile detailing service in the DMV, Miles Detailing. Call 240-273-4018 or contact on Instagram at Miles Detailing to book your service today. Mention Red Zone in the Lab podcast for 10% off detail services only. Ride in style with Miles. Detailing, that is.
Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab with Deuce.
To me, it seemed like execution on some screenplays, on some short throws, and they do throw short. It just doesn't seem like they're in a rhythm. And I wanna like you all talked about the silver line. I want to look at this and say, okay, this is the third game that these guys have played together in this offense, right? This is Wentz's first year, Dotson's first year, Samuels, you might as well say first year, but he's been in the classroom. This is second year in the classroom. So there should be more fluidity between these guys. But it is still early. That's why I still want to stick to my guns from the offseason and say I'm going to really evaluate this team after the Titans game, after week 5, to try to give these guys some room, right? So, Breeze, when you look at the play selections, right, because it's not like they're not taking short step drops, but it's like he patting the ball like he doesn't know where they're going to be and when they're going to get there. Is that something that you see also?
Yeah, I definitely noticed that today. Like Carson seems like you said, like unsure of where he wants to go with the ball. I don't know if that's him, his knowledge of the playbook. I wouldn't, I don't want to question his knowledge of the playbook. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's his comfort level with his offensive line or whatever situation may be. But Carson, like you can see it. Like he drops back and he's just sitting there. He's patting the ball. He's looking. And we talked about it last week. Like, yo, make your pre-snap read. If read 1, read 2 is not there, get 2-3 yards and get that. Like get what you can and get out the way. Like I don't know what the issue is, and obviously without being in those rooms and knowing the play call, all that kind of stuff, I don't. All I have to go on is my eyes at the game and then the all 22 film when it comes out. But he's definitely holding the ball a little bit longer than he should be.
CeeLo, do you think it can get better with more reps? I mean, they have 3 games under their belt. They can look at the film, but it just doesn't seem like anything changed from last week. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Breeze. I think for whatever reason, it's funny if you go back to the Jags game. First half they came out running the ball. They did whatever they wanted to do in those first, whatever they call it, first 15. And it actually lasted, most of the first quarter and part of the second. And then Detroit just decided to go and blitz and go ham on the offensive line. So I don't know if Carson is starting to, he's settling down. He's going to have to trust his eyes. He's a veteran though. He should see the field better than what he has. Granted, this is his first year in the offense. First year, I believe, where he's not calling protection or anything. The offensive lineman calling protection. All he's doing is just doing his pre-snap read, delivering the football. So I would think that this is actually a perfect system for him to learn kind of on the fly. But yeah, like I got to rely on you guys because you were there. I really want to see what he saw on all 22 because he just felt like he was holding the ball a lot longer, a lot of hitches, a lot of double pumps. He was not sure, and so he held onto the ball, with sometimes ended up in a sack. So it has to be repetition. Look at the film. What did he see? What was the defense doing that was like giving him like pause? because it just felt like he didn't seem like he saw the field very well, or at least wasn't sure where to throw the ball based on the defense.
So I actually have a potential theory about that, based on a point that you made earlier, CeeLo, pardon me. They were getting home with 4 guys. So it's possible that, like, they watched film and they saw what they wanted to take advantage of based on what they saw versus other teams, and they're only rushing 4 down linemen. There are a lot more guys in coverage now. So a passing lane that you thought may have been there is now there's a linebacker or somebody standing in that hole, and maybe that's causing him to hold the ball a little bit long because he's not seeing what he's expecting to see. I don't know, but it's just something I just thought about.
Yeah, and then what about where was Jay? Where was Gibson or McKissick? I mean, did they have any outlets? Was anyone out there like in the flat or right there 3 yards ahead of? You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't. Like maybe that's what those plays don't have that outlet right there. Maybe. But usually you have someone sitting there waiting just in case things break down, and it just didn't seem to be there, across however many plays it was.
Yeah, but like CeeLo said that because they only rushing 4, you have those backers sitting in those lanes.
So he's just sitting there waiting.
Right. So you got like those guys are kind of like covered. Like people say, dump the ball. There's nobody to dump the ball to. They are covered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they are covered, and we wasn't winning outside because of course they were still Bracken and Terry. Don't let no Eagle fan tell you that they wasn't, because I saw it live. They were still Bracken and Terry. But Jahan, he has to win more one-on-ones. Like he has to. When I say win one-on-one, he has to win them quicker, right? Like we have to find a way to find some holes in these defense, and I think we have to establish the run. We have to, whether it's Gibby on regular plays, or if it's Samuels on jet sweeps, like the first game, we established that early. We have to find a way to establish this running game, even if it's short passes and screens. And like when I talk about the screens, and they just don't look clean. Even the shovel to Logan Thomas, it wasn't clean. It was messy. When Wentz was about to throw the screen to Gibby and he got hit and ended up being too low, it was nobody out there but Gibby and the line. Like that was 6 if he was able to get it to him. You know what I mean? So what do you think, DT? Do you think that it's important for the run game to get established? I mean, how much pressure are we putting on B-Rob, man? Like, I don't know, man. It's like let's just wait to see how this offense look. Nah, man, we got like 2 games, possibly, at least, before this guy to get back. We need to figure out something now.
Yeah, we have to find a way to manufacture some type of rushing attack. And like I said, like we don't have to have like 160 yards rushing, right? Like it could be maybe 93, 80 yards, just something to help out the passing game and the offensive lineman. Because to me, I think the offensive line is out of sync. We also got to remember, like 3 of those guys that were playing today, they kind of were missing a lot of camp, mostly Trey Turner with the quad injury. And then West had the hip, and Norwell, I can't remember what Norwell had, but he missed some time in the offseason too. So them guys still trying to gel together, and right now it's not clicking. So, we got to find a way to help the offense out. When you look at the Colts last year, the Colts obviously had a balanced attack because of how powerful that run game was, but they didn't really have the receivers like Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuels in terms of dynamics. So now we're going to have to find a way to, like I said, calm this offense down, do the little things right, just get Carson in rhythm like we did in Jacksonville game. And if we could put that together with the defense we played today, I think it'll be way more competitive. But right now, just everything is out of sync.
Some player duds, some players of the game. Who are some duds you see, though? Like a player that's just stunk up the place.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I know. We talked about all of them. Had a piece of humble pie, but Norwell looked like he didn't belong in the NFL today.
Yeah,
he just got pushed real bad. What do y'all think?
Breeze, who you got, Breeze?
Kendall Fuller got his breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack taken today.
Good.
Kendall Fuller had and I like Kendall Fuller. Kendall Fuller had a terrible day. Devontae Smith was getting after him, even on plays where Kendall had decent coverage. Like he still made a that's a bad boy.
I mean, even AJ. I mean, like even on like what you saw on TV, the actual play they didn't go to Fuller side. He was still beat on the other side. Like just seeing the guys running routes on him, he was just getting beat. Huh? Like I mean, just straight, like post corners, corner flags. Like he was just getting beat all. And then McCain. Let me go ahead, Bree.
No.
I'm getting mad, man, because Kendall's better than that. Yeah? He's better than that. Yeah?
I think I want to say it was that kind of skinny post that Devontae caught, like right within, like on the 3-yard line. When he got hurt on before the touchdown, he routed Kendall up at the line. Like Kendall turned around. Like it was man.
And Jalen had all day to throw. He put that down on the road, man.
Yeah, Kendall had a rough day, man. He had a rough day. The whole secondary did to me, but Kendall for sure. They picked on Kendall.
Yeah. I think they picked on all of them. Anytime we went man and we blitzed, if they pick it up, he just went deep. Like he just threw it up there. What do you think, DT? Who's your dud player?
Man, I want to say every single last one of them, man. But for real, I agree, man. Like Kendall has not played good at all, bro. Like I'm not. I mean, maybe Kansas City, because I remember Kansas City will talk about how bad he played, but when he was here, like he was solid stuff. But it's been bad for Kendall Fuller so far these 3 games, man. I gotta go with Kendall Fuller. I would say Wild Goose, but come on, we already knew.
I mean, he was barbecue chicken. He need to get cut.
Yeah, I was about to say my fault. Go ahead, D. Finish.
I was just saying, like, we all knew Wild Goose was just a guy they just brung up. I'm kind of surprised they didn't put Castro Fields out there or Christian Holmes
or Danny Johnson or somebody. But
that dude, man, he's getting cooked all
Rashad Wild Goose, respectfully, Rashad Wild Goose might have lost his job today. Probably should have lost his job today.
I mean, he was holding. I mean, he was.
he showed why he was available when we got him. Like he legitimately. I don't want to beat the kid up, but like he legitimately looked like CeeLo said about Noel. Rashad Wild Goose looked, especially in the first half, looked like he didn't belong on the NFL field.
Yeah. So what happened to William Jackson III? Did they ever say?
His back.
He heard it. He back or something. Yeah.
So who knows how long that's gonna go on?
Yeah.
Because you gotta keep that junk fired. Like you can't be sitting around on that junk. That junk have to stay active. Yeah, man. For me, it's McCain, and he might not look like he played bad, but people was getting behind him left and right, man. Like you supposed to be deep third. Like no one's supposed to get behind you. And every time the corner's getting beat, he gets beat. He has to fix that, man. And I don't know. He's not like looking in the backfield. He's just not getting back, and that's just crazy to me. So he's my dub player. All right, let's do some dubs. DUB. Let's start with CeeLo. Who you got, CeeLo? I know you can find somebody, man.
No, I thought speaking of secondary, man, I actually thought overall Benjamin St-Juste looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. I know he got beaten that one. That one he kind of got mossed a little bit by Brown. No, was that Brown?
You talking about the slant?
Yeah.
He should not have. Breeze, I know you saw it. The plate, like we was kind of in flux, right? But then they got set. Jalen had switched some plays, whatever. St-Juste was like within 3 yards. He was like up on him.
Backed up.
Right before he snapped, he backed up like 2-3 yards. And then when the ball snapped, he backed up some more. And they went straight slant. And he couldn't close quick enough. He should have just stayed up there.
I saw Jalen Hurts check to the slant route from section 106. I don't know how. I don't know how they didn't see it. I'm sitting there watching it like, bro, he's checking to a slant. Like it was like, dude, I saw it. I don't know how they didn't. I don't know how he didn't see it from 10 feet away, but I saw
crazy,
section 106.
He backed up. He must have been afraid of the fade. But man, he should have just stayed there, man. He backed up. So pre-snap, he was 3 yards. No, pre-snap, he was at 3. When Jalen checked, he went to 5. And when the height, he took 2 more steps back. And he couldn't get there. Because he got there when he was at the 2, but AJ, he too much. Like, he too much of a man. He just leaned, fell right in the end zone.
Oh, that's tough.
But other than that, yeah, St. Jude's did pretty good. Other than that. What about you, DT?
I'm gonna say Deron Payne. Deron Payne been balling the first 3 games, bro. And it's gonna be a big question now. We all talked about, a lot of people say he's like the worst defensive lineman. I confidently disagree. I see the skill set he brings to the D line. He just, he don't get there a lot with the sacks, but his quick step and his rush moves remind me so much of Kawan Short from the Panthers in his prime. So we're going to have a conversation down the line about, re-signing Payne, especially with the Fedarian Mathis injury coming up. And then, look, he's just balling, bro. And I'm a big Deron Payne fan. I always will be. He's been balling this year.
Yeah, on that safety, John, he manhandled Gobert. What is his name? Goddard. He's a manhandle. Who you got, Breeze?
Man, I think Tress Way had an incredible game today. He was on the field way too much, but I think Tress Way had an incredible game punting the ball. Outside of Deron Payne and Benjamin St. Jude, I can't see, too many dubs to be had. So I got to go with somebody that's left. I think Tress Way had a good game today, man.
The Eagles fan behind, he was like, man, Tress Way had the ball in his hands more than Terry. I was like, oh my God, they cooking us. You couldn't. The dude, the Commanders fan in front of him, he's like, dog, you ain't got nothing to say. I was like, nah, man.
Wait, what you want me to say, bro? You here? You watching the game? What you want me to say?
I was like, oh man, but my dub do is Cam Curl, man. For him to come back, still nursing that hand injuries, I think he was putting his nose in there. He made a couple tackles in the backfield. He made a couple saving tackles. I think we held Jalen as far as rushing. He tried to escape a few times, and Cam was there. So I think Cam Curl is that guy, man. I don't think he's like a regular player that we like looking at and everyone else is looking, nah, he ain't like this. But I think Cam Curl could be that dude, man. With some more reps, he get fully healthy. I think he can be that. He can be that dude, man. How y'all think about how he fared for his first game of the year?
I think Cam had an overall good game, but he did whiff incredibly. He was terrible. Yeah. He had a very bad whiff. I think it was on the Dallas Goedert touchdown.
Mm-hmm. That was him.
Yeah, he had a terrible miss. All in all, he had a good game, and I know that was early, and he kind of settled down. So I can't attribute a little bit to it, maybe just being rusty as far as game speed. Because that's not something that they were used to seeing from Cam. Mission like that. Cam will come up and he'll put his face on somebody. But he did have that one very big miss, which did end up costing us points. But all in all, he had a pretty solid game.
Yeah, that was right before the half, right? That was a joint right before the half.
That was I think the second touchdown. The one right before the half was when Devontae Smith went up on Kendall in the back corner.
Kendall just got mossed like 20 times, man. And Jamin Davis had 2 sacks.
Jamin had a pretty good game.
He played pretty good. That's why you don't hear his name.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to scapegoat Jamin this week. And nah, Jamin had a good game this week.
Do you sit back and say, man, these walls just need something? Feel like it's time to freshen up your place with something new? If your answer is yes, then it's time to call Rob of Lewis Paints Plus, the accent wall expert. Rob will even give you a free estimate on how he can transform those boring walls in your home. To book today, call 240-418-5241 or reach out on Instagram at Lewis Paints Plus. And for 10% off, tell them Red Zone sent you.
What's the first thing you would do Monday morning? Let's start with DT.
First thing I'll do Sunday morning.
Monday morning.
Oh, Monday?
Tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Man, it's real to me. It's really the offense, man. Like the offense, we gotta find a way to get the offense clicking, like we did the Jaguars game. If we get the offense clicking, and I think the defense, from a communication standpoint, they played good the game today. Like they were on their guys. Their guys just made the play. If we get the offense clicking, we can have better starts to the game and we can finish. The whole point of this, we just got to start fast, y'all. Like when we start slow and these teams get up by 17, 20 some points, it's just hard to come back from. And we lost a lot of games like that. We can't do this Sunday against Dallas.
CeeLo, what would you do Monday morning? First thing you would do Monday morning.
First thing I would do is probably waterboard Scott Turner. No. I would
say waterboard.
I definitely would sit with Scott and figure out what are we doing. Probably Scott and John Masco and say, hey, listen, this is what we got. We're banged up in the offensive line. No different than last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we got to do? We got a very winnable game next week. Let's focus on some of the positives that these guys do, things they do well. And let's develop a game plan that's going to take advantage of whatever, Dallas is struggling against, whether it's the run, pass, get Gibson going, McKissick going, Jonathan, whatever you got to do, we got to get these guys moving forward. One thing I did notice about this game, these guys look good moving forward, man. Like they was opening up a little bit of holes. There was even one round I felt like Gibson may have missed a lane. So I felt like they actually looked pretty good going forward against a really solid, run defense against Philly. So I will figure out a way to, like DT said earlier, man, get these guys moving forward. And let's find a way to get some momentum that way, and then play action and do some other things to get the ball out of Wentz's hand quicker, because sitting back, even if, sitting back and throwing the ball just ain't working right now. So that's probably it.
Breeze, what's the first thing you doing Monday morning?
I'm Ron Rivera. The first thing I'm doing Monday morning is pulling out my phone, scrolling through the contacts, finding Eric Flowers' name, texting him, "Hey, big head, what you doing?" I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out to Eric Flowers, man. Like, hey, man, like, how you feel about coming back? Like, like CeeLo just said, they're pretty good moving. They're pretty decent moving forward, but we all know Scott Turner likes to throw the ball, and whenever they drop back the pass set, they just been getting bum rushed all season for, especially the last 2 weeks. And Eric Flowers, I feel like, could help that as well as in the run game, even if it's just for depth purposes. But I feel like Norwell had a bad game. Trey Turner had a terrible game. Trey Turner, is still working his way back and everything. We already lost Chase Roullier, and I think Wes Weister got hurt today too for a minute. I think he came back, but I think I saw Wes get hurt. I might be tripping.
Like, he was throwing that joint but to his shin.
Yeah, like
Jones was terrible.
Yeah, so like we need, and Eric Flowers can move. So you want to run screens and a bunch of outside zone stuff. He can do that probably a little bit better than Norwell and even Trey Turner can do. So the first thing I'm doing Monday morning is reaching out to Eric Flowers or some other. I would say Eric Flowers because he's been here, he knows the team, he knows the offense, whatever. But yeah, I'm reaching out to Eric Flowers first thing.
Yeah, I feel you, man. The first thing I'm doing Monday morning is I'm calling Mayo and Bostic in the office. Say, look, man, I'm gonna need y'all spats. and maybe one of them, maybe Bostic, because I think Mayo is playing well. He had a big hit today, so maybe his tape kind of keeps him here another week. But yeah, man, I'm trying to make a call to. These are the people I want to make a call to. Flowers, of course. I want to call Flowers. I want to call Sheldon Richardson. I want to call Landon Collins, and I want to call Stewart. Those names might not move people.
Who was the fourth name? The last name?
Sewell.
Defensive
The
tackle.
Dominican Sewell.
Yeah, I got you.
I think Flowers is of course, like you bring that he played well last year, man. You could talk about his pass block or whatever, but he played well. He's played well with us. 2 stints he's been here, he's played well. You don't have to worry about that $10 million marker no more. Talk to him. It's like you said, hey man, what's good, man? Text him up. Landon Collins, say, look, let's talk. And you might say he don't fit or whatever. You might not know where to play him, but I think he's a heart dude, right? And those guys looked up to him. I think you reach out to see what's good. And then Sewell, like, man, look, him and Sheldon Richards, like, we need that attitude. We need something, man. We need some type of attitude. We need some type of dogs. And those dudes know they're not what they used to be. But we have to make some type of moves. Because I want to ask y'all this though. And it includes making moves, like calling some of these dudes or cutting somebody or firing a coach or whatever. The issues that we have, can it be solved in season with what we got and with who we can call? Let me start with CeeLo.
So your question is there something we can do in season with who we got in the current staff or locker room?
Yeah, is it something we can do to get better with who we got, making moves with who we got, firing somebody, benching somebody, or bringing in a free agent, cutting somebody? Like, do you think there's something that we can do to make this team better, or do we just stand pat and just hope for the best?
I don't think so. It's a difficult question because if we were just, seeing struggles in one phase of the game, offensive line or wide receiver, we're not running the ball, but it feels like all 3 phases or call them, groups, right? Offensive line, quarterback, wide receivers seem to be doing okay. I don't know. Maybe they aren't. Maybe they're not getting open. I don't know. But it feels like there's like pockets of issues throughout the team. So it's not like a magic. It's hard. It's not like I can't just fire GDR. Like last week we could have. This week we got to keep them. So it's like I don't know. Like I think they gotta. It's all I can say. It's week 3. Well, now it's going to be week 4. But like we have to go back, look at the film, look at all 3 games. Let's see where we're having troubles at. I'm seeing improvement. I saw improvement in defensive line every week. I feel like we got better in defensive line. The linebackers are kind of up and down, secondaries up and down. So we got to figure out some way to kind of regroup and rethink how we're executing some of these plays, and make sure we just get these guys to have a better weekend in practice. Make sure guys are doing that, watching film, paying attention, just detail. Take care of your responsibility. Beat the man in front of you. Like, just play football. Don't make it complicated. That's all you can do, man, because nobody sit on the couch right now. Anyone sitting on the couch right now ain't going to really help you like that. It's going to maybe a bump a little bit, maybe. But I don't know if it's going to be like the magic bullet. You see what I'm saying? So that's my issue. It's not just one phase. It's like all over the place.
How you feel about it, Breeze?
So kind of 2 parts. I feel like, me personally, there are some guys, available who could come in and help. They may not, be of huge benefit, but they could definitely help a little bit. Eric Flowers and Landon Collins both being 2 of those names just because they've been here, they know the system, and they've been effective in their roles. But to that point, it doesn't matter who you bring in. Well, before I get to that, you gotta also look at what we've done so far this season, and you got to think for some of those bigger names like Ndamukong Suh or Sheldon Richardson, those guys may not want to come here. Like they may not want to sign up for
That's true. Yeah.
whatever this has been. You know what I mean? Like I know they're sitting at home or whatever, but you know, football is not easy at that level. You can sit there and be like, man, do I want to go to Washington and deal with this for the rest of the season or next 2 years? Or do I just want to just be comfortable and sit back and wait and maybe a contender might call? Most people, especially if you're like an Ndamukong Suh or maybe even Landon Collins, like, you know what? I'm going to sit back and, you know, bide my time. And eventually somebody, you know, ready to make a run is going to call me. But to that point, it doesn't matter who you bring in. The coaches still have to be able to coach them up effectively and scheme things up effectively. I mean, Jack Del Rio, you know, his first 2 weeks is what it is. The defense, I mean, I know they gave up 24 points. They shut him out for 3 quarters. I thought it was a half, but 3 quarters. No, whatever it was. They shut him out in the second half for sure.
It was 3 quarters. They scored all the points in the first.
Okay, well they shut him out for 3 quarters then.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Like what happened?
I thought that last touchdown when Kendall got mauled at the end of the half.
It was.
Yeah, you're right. It was that.
Yeah. It was.
Either way,
you're right.
Either way, they didn't. Yeah, either way, they didn't score in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, and then one of those touchdowns we gave him a short field because Carson fumbled. So I mean, like it's not the defense. Their production today is not indicative of the score, or the score is not indicative of their production. But with Scott, like you have to be able to effectively scheme guys up. You know, if you don't have linemen that can get outside and block in space, stop calling springs. You know what I mean? If you don't have guys that can pass block and hold up for 4 or 5 seconds, stop calling deep passing plays. Like it doesn't matter who you bring in here if they can't be used effectively. So yes, I think that there are guys that can come in and help. There are things that can be done, but it's got to be done on one accord.
All right, DT, what you got?
I agree with everything they're saying. Like, I think the hardest thing about trying to change up things during the season, especially schematically, is because you have to get them out of them habits that they're so used to doing. And when you try to change something that simple, try to simplify it, they have a tendency to go back to those old habits. Now, for trying to bring guys in, yeah, I'll be open to getting Flowers, and I'll be iffy about Collins. I think Collins did play good, but I think Forrest can fill that role well. I think I didn't really hear Forrest's name like that today, but I thought he played.
Yeah, a lot of times him and Cook Goose, they was subbing in and out for each other.
Cook Goose is crazy.
but it's relevant.
Good Goose, man.
But yeah, I just think they might change things, but I think it's going to be hard because they're so used to doing this old stuff.
Yeah.
It just feels like it feels like, I don't know how you guys think. It just feels like Ron doesn't. His sense of urgency is like lacking. Now I know you can't be all panicky as a head coach, but he's like, yeah, we'll get it together. I'm like, and I don't know how he is in the locker room because it's just that's in front of the media. But just my thing about Ron, and that's just maybe his person. That's what maybe people like about him. But he is very much like he has no worry in the world. There's no urgency. There's no fire. It's just, guys, we just got to get them, young team, we're going to make some mistakes. I'm like, young team, your offensive line is like legit veterans outside of Cosme. What are you talking about? So,
and Cosme is a 4-year senior. So,
yeah, he's played a lot of football. So it just, I don't know, that's my issue a little bit. Deuce is just, I feel like he needs to get like, just act like not like everything's on fire, but just a little bit more passion. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right. Panic scale, 3 games, 1 or 2. We look really bad in the 2 losses. We look better, but not great in the win. From 1 to 10, DT, where are you as far as panic? 10 being cut everybody.
My panic level right now, I'm gonna say 4. Like, I get it. Like, they ain't been playing good, things like that. I want to improve. There's still a lot of season left. Let's not act like every year for Washington we have always started slow. So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I think spaces make it worse though. Like spaces make you think like you ain't got no time left.
Yeah. And I think because of that, because we have so much high expectations, this is year 3, but they're still doing stuff from year 1 and 2.
Okay.
So it's a 4.
Yeah. Breeze. Panic
I mean-
from 1 to 10. 10-5, everybody.
I mean,
Where you at?
he stole my number, but I'm gonna go with a 4 though.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm there too,
not,
though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm far from panic mode. I'm really like it's upsetting, it's frustrating for sure, especially to be in the stadium when it's going on. But
that's bad, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there are minor adjustments that can be made that to fix that. And also, I think once, not to put everything on his shoulders, but I feel like once Brian Robinson comes back, whenever that may be, hopefully week 5, I feel like the offense might be a little bit more fluid based on the way they were planning on running it this year. Hopefully, whenever Chase comes back, which at this point maybe 6, 7, whenever that may be, he can make an impact. Which that's the middle part of the season. You can still a lot of football after that. I'm not gonna panic yet. It's extremely frustrating, especially against the Eagles. And there are areas and times of cause of concern, but I'm not super tripping. So I'm at a 4.
All right, well, you at CeeLo?
Not too much different. I'm like at a 4.55 for the similar reasons, right? It's still early. A lot can happen. Sometimes these guys they may click and they may match up better against some other teams. Let's be honest, maybe some of these early teams are better than we expected. And so maybe you just never know how the NFL goes. It's a long season. So yeah, not quite there yet, but they got to get going soon.
All right, man. There you have it, man. This is the Commanders post-game show. Philadelphia Eagles came to FedEx Field. They showed out. They dominated us both halves, even though they only scored 24 points. But Carson Wentz looks real jumpy. They're going to have to get that together. All in all, it's only 3 weeks. And I know those are people that are saying, well, this is year 3. I get it. I understand. But Carson is new to this offense. Give him some time. I'm looking at after the Tennessee game to really see where this team is. But DT, any final thoughts from you, bro?
On the week 4 is Dallas week.
It's Dallas week. CeeLo.
Hey man, let's go handle business out there in Dallas, man. Let's get on the road. Let's get our mojo back.
Oh, black jerseys.
That's right.
Black jerseys coming out Sunday.
Let's get it.
So they probably go on sale this week. Check it out. Breeze, what you got?
Take a day or two, learn from your mistakes, figure out how and why you made them, and don't make them again. Move forward and go 1-0 next week.
But there you have it, man. Red Zone of that podcast, the Commanders post-game show. My man DT, CeeLo, and Breeze. I am Deuce. Thank you for listening, not watching today. I was at the game. I don't feel like showing my face because I don't want to look disappointed. I don't want to look defeated. I'm excited for the season to come. How believable is that, y'all? Is that believable?
It's believable.
Thank y'all for listening, man. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.
One love.
One love, man.
One love.
Thank you for listening to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Red Zone in the Lab. And you can download our podcast at Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. And please visit our website at redzoneinthelab.com. Thank you.